Hello everybody, I am here to participate in a new vinyl tag that's going around the VC, and this one is called the Experimental Vinyl Tag, and it was started by a channel called Motoric247, and a link to their channel should be right up there in the corner in just a second. Now, along with this video, I've got this little circuit bent experimental music toy with me. It's basically a modified baby room monitor that I got many years ago from a fan of the band Devo when I was working with the band, and it's great. It makes really interesting sounds, and it's all circuit bent and weird with these little touch sensitive spikes. And I'll be maybe playing with this a little bit during this video. But let's get into showing the records. Okay, so within this video, I will be giving you a few needle drops on the records here and there, but let's get to the first question. Improvised music. Show something with improvised music on it. And my choice is this. It's called Spontaneous Sound, and I believe that's the name of the band, and that's the name of the album. And this came out in the 70s, I'm guessing. On Discogs, there's not really a year listed. It's pretty hard to find record. There is the label. And what it is basically, you know, what it looks like here. Some dude banging on a bunch of gongs, and like you can see there, you know, it's just like hippie trippy, I guess you'd call it jazz, improvisational, experimental music. I don't know, but I picked this up in college somewhere just because I thought it looked interesting. And yeah, I think it looks a little more interesting than it is. It's kind of, you know, like I said, hippie trippy, banging on gongs and stuff, but certainly fits the first request on this tag, improvised music. And here we'll have a quick little snippet of some spontaneous sound. Here we go. And there's a little quick snippet. Now, moving right along. The next one is feature something with a Moog, however you want to pronounce it, synthesizer on it, and I'm going to show you this one. It's by Chris Swanson. It's called Pulaski Skyway. I got this when I was in college, just because of how it looked, and I wasn't really familiar with this kind of music a whole lot back then, but bought it. I love it. It's pretty weird. And look at this, bonus. It's autographed by Robert Moog, 1980. There you can see right there. Pretty cool, pretty hard to find. And you'll see there in the list of instruments that they did in fact use at least one Moog synthesizer in this. And here is the center label, if you're curious. There it is right there. And let's give you a little needle drop on this one. All right, here's a quick snippet of this cool record by Chris Swanson. Here we go. And there's a little taste of that for you. Okay, next up, show a record with a field recording on it. Now, a field recording is basically something that's recorded outside of a studio setting. It could be human voices, it could be just environmental sound, it could be all kinds of things. And the one I want to show for this is a band called Control Bleeding, hardcore industrial from the mid-80s. This is Knees and Bones. It was originally released in 1985, and this is a reissue. But it's great because it's just really brutal cacophony noise, industrial noise through the whole thing. You know, sounds of breaking glass, static, banging on things, reverb, just pure noise. And then all of a sudden, within this pure noise at some point, pops up this field recording of Paul Lemos, the main guy in this band, and what seems to be his sister arguing about him making noise in the house. And she's, complaining that she has an exam to study for, and why doesn't he go somewhere else? And then he complains, well, why don't you go to the library to study? And it goes back and forth, and then it just goes right back into the brutal noise. And I think that is grand. I would show you a needle drop on this, but I'm afraid I would get stricken with some kind of copyright thing. So I'm not going to do it, but you should look this up because it's ultra cool and one of my favorite industrial records of all time. And next up, Motoric 247 asks me to show something with a drone sound. Now, this record right here by the German Shepherds, this is a reissue. The album is called Music for Sick Queers, and there's a song on here called Let the Night Roar. It's actually a bonus track, and it's got some pretty cool drone sound going through the whole thing of it. Not going to play it because I think I could get copyright struck from it. But yeah, this is kind of a classic weirdo industrial experimental album from back in the day. And yeah, I'd say look into it if you're into that kind of stuff. Now, what do we got next? We got a question that says, show a record with spoken word on it. And I got to show you this one. It's by my friends from Ohio called Sockeye. Basically a very juvenile lo-fi punk rock record, but within all the madness of the juvenile lo-fi punk rock, between the songs there are spoken interludes by a friend of the band who, I guess she worked in a group home, a nursing home of some kind, and she has very disturbing nursing home stories to tell between these tracks, and I'll just go ahead and play you one of those right now. And here's a little spoken word snippet from this Sockeye album, Retards Hiss Past My Window. Here we go.
The guy that watches the naked pornos, I found him, he wheeled his roommate down to a vacant room and took all his clothes off and was touching him. And this guy's in a wheelchair, so he couldn't defend himself. And Fred's in there fondling him.
There we go. Again, Sockeye, Retards Hiss Past My Window, 1994 release. And there is the center label of sorts. And that brings us to the next question on this tag. And that is, show a record with a processed instrument or voice on it. And I got to show you my own band, Silica Gel, album called 50 Noisy Children Party. This was originally released in 1993 on CD only. It was then reissued as a double vinyl deluxe package in 2016. There's a song on this called Master of the Game. And Master of the Game is basically made of all vocal samples, which are, tweaked and slowed down and processed. But every bit of the song is a vocal sample. It kind of includes a recording, the whole recording of a report from shortwave radio that I recorded back in the late 80s, early 90s, talking about somebody who was found dead in the road, a pedestrian who had been hit. And the only way that they could identify the body was by reading the victim's tattoos on the air. And so we took that recording and slowed it down and chopped it up a bit, and it's the main, vocal track of Master of the Game. But check it out. I think it's really fun, and I had a great time doing it, and I'll let you hear a little bit of it right now. And here's a little snippet of Master of the Game from Silica Gel 50 Noisy Children Party. Here we go. on. From Silica Gel, the next question was, show something from the Nurse with Wound list. Now, if you don't know what the Nurse with Wound list is, you can Google it. There's a band called Nurse with Wound, kind of like, very well known in this experimental industrial genre. And they have a list of bands and artists that supposedly influenced them. And one of the bands on that list was called Negativland. And this is a very hard to find 1991 release by Negativland called U2, in which they kind of did their own version, a cover, if you will, of a U2 song. And it got pulled from the shelves pretty quickly for legal reasons, because I guess there was some consumer confusion that this was a new U2 album called Negativland. And if you want here, I can show you the label. Boobity-boo, boobity-ba. And this is very hard to find. And just for shits and giggles, I want to show you something related to this. I can't put a needle drop on this. I would probably get stricken for that. But I wanted to show you that during this time, I was, hanging out with Negativland a lot. And they gave me this cool promotional flat for the album, which is just a really thin sheet of glossy paper. But Mark Hostler of Negativland was nice enough to draw his rendition of Bono of U2 on my little flat here. So I thought that was pretty funny. Now, there's one more question in this vinyl tag of the experimental kind. And the question is, can you show a record with a toy instrument on it? And yes, I can. And this isn't an experimental band at all. It's not industrial. It's nothing of the kind. It's punk rock. It's my second favorite band in the world, the Dickies, with a live album called Locked and Loaded, 1990. Now, I could have pulled out one of many Dickies records, any number of Dickies records that have the song Curb Job on it, because in the song Curb Job, the singer here, Leonard Graves Phillips, who is never short on stage props, has kind of this squeaky toy caveman club that he uses in the song. And there's a certain part of Curb Job where he takes this squeaky toy in the microphone and goes, and he does it really well, right in rhythm with the song. He's done it for decades. And in live concert situations, he will hit audience members on the head with this squeaky toy. Squeak, 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 squeak. It's pretty funny. And so that is the last question in this experimental vinyl tag. I want to thank MotorIck247 for hosting this tag, and you should go sub him up, check out his videos. And I also want to thank you for watching my videos, for subbing, for liking. May the rock and roll gods bless you as they bless me, and I'll see you next time.